Welcome back. We are still having our conversations right here on the QTV Breakfast Show. And in the studio this morning, I am joined by Martin Mlenga, who is the CEO and founder of the Green Cosmos. And also, I do have Gideon Mumba, who is coming from Know Your World and the Environment Zambia. Good morning. Welcome to our breakfast show.
Thank you so much, madam. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for coming through to our breakfast show this morning.
Sure.
All right. So, you come from different organizations, obviously, that all have to do with the environment, protecting the environment and just creating awareness. Let's start with you, Martin, because I remember the last time you were here, you were talking about issues to do with garbage collection, keeping the country clean. But maybe just a reminder to the viewers, what exactly is the mandate of the Green Cosmos, and how did you come about with this? How did you come up with this organization?
Thank you so much. First and foremost, the background of our organization is coming from the incident that happened last year, where this gentleman actually, after acquiring academic knowledge, that he wanted to make use of that same knowledge that he gained from the university. And then in one way or the other, people actually interpreted the actions. And coming here in Lusaka, I actually managed to form a group of people. So we started some kind of voluntary work. But in one way or the other, we were restricted to do our voluntary work, knowing the fact that we have got no papers and go into the council there so that we can be given some we can be authorized to be doing our work that we really wanted, just from deep down of our hearts, but it couldn't work out that way. So we came up with a suggestion to say, why can't we come up with an organization so that we continue our services to the community? Knowing the fact that, of course, at the moment, the country is not in a good shape. We've seen litter each and every time, the country is dirty, but we have energetic people who can actually champion the idea, champion the Keep Zambia Clean campaign. So we actually, I went to my professor, the one I call Professor, Mr. Chileshe Mlenga, who is now the lecturer at Cavendish University. We actually tabled the same issue, and we thought it is very wise for us to continue the services to the community and Zambia at large. Not only that, but also to join the global in fighting or mitigating the climate change. So we said anyway, we need to come up with an organization. That's how we started the process. And thank God, as we were just doing the process, the DMMU actually engaged us, looking at the works that we've been doing. Because last year I was called by the regional coordinator, DMMU, where I gave some suggestions on how we can actually alleviate this kind of data that we are able to see in town each and every time. So they said, we'll come up with a program and then we'll engage with your people, just as a group. So we engaged, and then that was actually the formation of the Green Cosmos. The Green Cosmos is coming about so that we can actually contribute something positive to the well-being of Mother Zambia as well as the world at large.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. Gideon, tell us more about the organization you're coming from, Know Your World and the Environment Zambia.
All right, thank you very much. So, Know Your Wildlife and the Environment Zambia is a complete youth-led organization that grew from the passion of having done a program called wildlife management by profession. I came to understand certain climate education matters that are affecting our various communities. But when you look at our education sector, very few is known about such matters to do with climate change, environment. We learn a few, but there is little that has been done. When you go back to our forefathers, they would tell us to say there was Chongololo clubs. People would learn about the environment, how to keep litters, in short, how to safeguard our environment at large. Yeah. But when you come to our today's education, that has been phased out. Of course, Chongololo clubs are there, but the rate at which they are, we can say they are very few. Yeah. So from that passion grew in for the Know Your Wildlife, and just from the first statement, our basic area of interest is to eradicate illiteracy levels in the mindset of Zambians, whereby we educate them on wildlife matters. We educate them on things to do with garbage collection, environmental cleaning. I was just having a chat with him right now to say things that are happening in a park, like a national park. It's very heartening, where people are driving from Lusaka going to Mongo, but they are throwing litters by the window into the park. All that is something that we are doing out of ignorance. So we do not blame Zambians, as per se, but we say there is more that has to be done in terms of education, sensitization, as well as engaging them as we do these things. So that was the birth of Know Your Wildlife and the Environment Summit.
Yeah. But for you, Martin,
Yes,
obviously you mentioned that there was an incident that happened to you last year, and you were here. You were talking about the incident where you were harassed. For somebody that is just trying to volunteer out there and do something great for their community, someone would have even stopped and said, "Why am I doing this if people are not appreciative?" But maybe we also want to know, where did that passion come from in just wanting to see a better environment?
Well, thank you so much for that insightful question. I'm sure where the passion is coming from also is where I'm coming from, my background. Because when you used to, the time I spent much of my time in the village. That's where I was born from. So mostly our parents, each and every time, they would say, akachira kambushi kasengulopo kekere. Literally means that you need to ensure that your place where you are sitting, your environment has to be clean, neat. So that's how we actually grow. We grew with that as we were growing up, of course. So even the time again I went to the university, studied also environmental ethics. I also came to realize that in one way or the other, we are doing some kind of injustices to our environment. We are good people when we are doing speeches, but when we go background, there is nothing that is happening. If I tell you that we just from the time the Keep Zambia Clean campaign were launched in 2007, the speeches that people have uttered, if they were indeed to follow their speeches, this time we can't talk about even vendors, we can't talk about the Rita Free Zambia. Zambia by now would have been like Kigali City, which is Rwanda. However, I think we need to come up with a paradigm shift. And how do we bring about the paradigm shift? It has to start with the citizen. Before we actually condemn the government, it has to start with me. So also that background where I'm coming from and the university part of it, I was like, why can't I channel all these studies that I did, all these academic qualifications that I have, why can't I channel it to the taking care of the environment? So that's where actually the motivation to say actually came from. And before I started that, I remember I also contacted Mr. Simon Moore to say, "Sir, I would want to start doing this. What do you think?" I was like, "No, that's the better way to do. That's the way to go." I also contacted Mr. Innocent Kalaluka. I also encouraged me. So I was like, let me first start and see on how best we can champion this program, and in one way or the other, also to see how best we can contribute to the Keep Zambia Clean campaign, which is in one way or the other dormant, because the emphasis has not really much. The way we have taken the campaign is not that much that each and every time people can talk about Keep Zambia Clean, because maybe of course someone who is from Lusaka will talk about Keep Zambia Clean, but what about those people in the villages? So it has to start with us youth. So that's how I actually began that program. It's because of the background where I'm coming from, and also what we see the environment, because the environment is one way or the other neglected. Should we continue living like that, or should I take up my own responsibility to start something as a youth? Exactly.
Definitely. And Gideon, how's been your experience, on your side in terms of trying to protect the environment?
All right. So from my personal observation, the environmental protection matters have been some kind of being politicized. And then you find that you might have the passion to do certain things, but because there are all these bureaucracy that you have to go through, so people are limited to do certain things. Like, for example, whenever I want to go and do litter picking, we need to get permits from the council. So there is all that kind of bureaucracy that has been attached to all these services. So if you are coming from a community like me, from John Howard Compound, Chama constituency, you will find that for you to approach these offices, it's something that you feel inferior and the like. So we've got people that are on the ground willing to safeguard the environment, but because of the perceptions and the bureaucratic structure that they've put in doing all these environmental works, we are found to say people are shining away. That is why, as Know Your Wildlife, we are saying, we are not pinpointing anyone to say you are doing this, you are doing that, but we say let us solve environmental matters in an educative way. Why don't we go to schools, markets, we have a conversation with them, we teach them, they tell us what to do. In simpler terms, we can build on indigenous knowledge that our forefathers used to use, meaning we build on things to do with Chongororo clubs, education, what they were taught, and then how they feel that environmental matters can be championed. Another experience that I have had is in doing environmental works is this: when we go to a community, we try to champion their ideas. What am I trying to say? We want to bring in our theology and our university literatures to tell them how they can safeguard their environment. But the better way to safeguard environment is to build on what I said, indigenous knowledge. Tell them, how do you safeguard your environment? Allow them to give their point of view. Then you build on it. So, okay, if you are doing it this way, what do you think if you can do it this way? So in that way, we are being inclusive in the way we approach environmental matters. That has been my experience.
Did you want to add something?
Oh yeah, just like he has talked about where the restrictions which are there, like he talked about to say, no, the issue of, I would say, solid wastes is in one or the other politicized, in the sense that this time around it's not easy as it used to be some time back, where people could go just maybe and pick litter. But this time around we need to have some kind of, you have to be authorized, and that in itself, the process is just too long. The process is too long. You see today, you passing through Freedom Way, you see litter there, but if you just say, okay guys, let's go and pick that litter, people, you don't even know where these people will come from to start asking you questions. Where are you taking? So are you going to make money? Who told you to? Such kind of things. So in one way or the other, there must be a way on how the government also, because they have got a role to play, a big role to play on that matter. They should come on board to say, I think everybody is welcome as long as they mean well to the society. This is why also Green Cosmos is coming on board, because we understand that knowledge is found. We need to actually give those people who are found on the ground there, we have to give them knowledge that is really related to what they are seeing, because they are the people who are able to see the data. Someone who is in the office, even here on TV, a few people will listen to what I'm saying, but if you go down there, you educate these people, it will be a better way to go.
All right, so maybe also just highlight us on how you've been working. You decided to launch your own organization whereby you can obviously do things collectively and in a more organized way, and probably people will identify you that you're coming from the Green Cosmos. How has it been so far since the launch? I believe you did launch on the 30th of June.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So the experience in one way or the other has been okay, but again, one way or the other has been some kind of there are a lot of restrictions here and there. But it's good because everybody is now affiliated to Green Cosmos. It would be better to go and just say, okay guys, why can't we do this? So ever since the Green Cosmos, we've been on the ground working, partnering with government, even institutions like TMMU, because they are the people that we are working with, where we talk about disaster reduction, because we understand that disaster reduction is also a crucial component of addressing the effects of climate change. So on that one, also the DMMU, they need to come up with partner with certain organizations as well as institutions, and we happen to partner with them. So it has been war in the fact that we have the government here who are in one way or the other telling us to say, okay, let's do this, let's do that. Even when you go on the ground there working, people just tell them to say, no, we are coming from the Green Cosmos in partner with the DMMU. So it becomes easier. However, it's also difficult for people to understand when you are just cleaning, because our organization, in one way or the other, it's very much focused on the environmental cleanness, as well as to just champion the Keep Zambia Clean campaign. But we have also come to understand that people's mindset needs to be changed when you speak about solid wastes, the issue to do with climate change as well as environmental degradation. In one way or the other, we Zambians, we really don't have that knowledge that we can, in one way or the other, be able to utilize and just to ensure that our city, our country is kept clean. So this is where the Green Cosmos is working on, because we want to, at the end of the day, at least to ensure that half of the Zambian people understands what it is when you speak about climate change. My sister, I can't lie to you, the issue of climate change is very, it's wide. It's just something that I cannot even mention. So we need a lot of organizers. But how can we identify these organizers? It's through also coming up with an organization, but also organizations need to have people who are passionate. I was just communicating with my brother, because also seeing what they are doing as an organization, they are doing a lot when you speak about even drainage sensitization, and we are also into environmental sensitization. So in one way or the other, we are able to reduce the disaster risks that may in one way or the other come. So with the forming of an organization, Green Cosmos, we are able indeed to operate fully and without any actually restrictions. Exactly, that's what I can say.
Okay.
Sure.
But what do you think, Gideon, in terms of sensitization and awareness? We've got a lot of organizations that are registered to protect the environment, environmental what, this and that, but we're not seeing much happening on the ground.
Okay. Coming to that point, I'm sure my brother here would like agree with me to say part of the statements that have been issuing is we have identified certain sectors where we take these sensitizations and awareness. Let's talk of what our main area of focus, which is moving from one schools to another. When you look at environmental clubs that are active, when you look at organizations that are reaching these schools, you find that they are being selective. What do I mean? You go to schools like DK, you go to schools like Mnadi, you go to schools like Libala, you find that these are pupils who articulate environmental issues very correct, because they receive visitation from this organization in an overflow manner. But when you go to schools that are in places where I say victims of climate disasters, you go to Misis, you go to Chugola, you go as far as Mandevu, those schools you find that pupils literally know nothing, and yet they are the major victims of climate disasters. When you talk of floods, these are the areas where people are receiving massive floods year in and year out. When you talk of disease outbreaks, it all starts from this shanty compound. But environmental education, climate change education does not reach such schools, does not reach such facilities. And the question is why? Just like you said, there are a lot of organizations. So as Quays and Green Cosmos, we want to make sure that we synergize our efforts together and reach all these places, because they understand, yes, there's floods, but they do not understand why it is causing those floods. Part of the things that is causing those floods are what we are calling, my brother, solid waste.
Exactly.
Where we are saying sometimes it's not even the issue of climate change. Sometimes it's because the drainages that they have been blocked.
Yes.
Because they are no longer drainages. Me, I don't call them drainages, but they are dump sites. Because a drainage must have water in it.
Exactly.
But when a drainage has got waste, garbage in it, then to me it's not a drainage, it's a dump site. So you find that water from a certain compound in Misis or Kuku is not going to where it's intended to go, because there's a blockage somewhere. So why don't we sensitize these communities? Say, these drainages that you have, this is the role they play. Unlike judging them, but we go to the communities, sensitize them. In that way, we'll be able to reduce only disaster effects that are outbreaking, instead of GMMU releasing funds to go and rescue houses like what we saw earlier this year in Mississippi and the like because of floods. We can channel those funds to other things, other important things to do, because disease outbreaks like dysentery, cholera, this is poor sanitation and negligence. So if we can approach it in a proactive manner, then we are doing justice to our environment and the communities at large.
And also just to add, because if I'm not mistaken, the question is, we have seen a lot of registered organizations, but when you go to work done, is more like equal to zero, not so. First and foremost, I've also come to understand one thing. Of course, we have a lot of organizations which advocates for green environment, and also which actually fights climate change. But here is a thing. When you don't have a motivation from anywhere, your organization is dead. When your organization, one or the other, is not recognized that you are doing this and that, I say so in the sense that you can't channel all your initiatives. Like, for instance, Green Cosmos is doing afforestation, recycling, sensitization. But if all these programs have got no funds, then it becomes nothing. You are going to register your organization, but without funds, you're not going to champion your initiatives. And then, apart from that, also in one way or the other, I will talk about the government, because they have got also a role to play. When an organization is formed, they know that this organization is good at that. Why can't they also give them some green funds, financial support, so that they champion the initiatives that they are doing? Even this time around, invite the minister to say, this is an organization which will be cleaning the drainages. They will be launching this program of cleaning the drainages. The minister will not come. But tell the minister to say, we are going to Mulungushi International Conference, there will be a summit. You will see vehicles, coming. So in one way or the other, there is also a system, a rotten system in our Zambian government, so to speak. There is a rotten system that needs to be worked on. And then apart from that, we have also companies. Companies, each and every time, it's also part of the constitution that each company should respond to social corporate responsibility. So these companies, they need to ensure that at least they are funding some programs to do with sensitization, some programs to do with drainage clearing, something should actually show. But all the companies, in one way or the other, they would be able to fund a program which is to do with Mulungushi International Conference Center Summit, people from different areas. They will be able to fund an award ceremony instead of funding something that can be beneficial to the society. I'll tell you one thing. When you speak about, of course, there will be maybe a summit to do with environmental protection. I saw it from the Center Environmental Justice. They're talking about environmental protection, which will be at Mulungushi Conference there. Who are the people they are going to give that knowledge to? They are the people who are already aware about the environment. They are going to give me that knowledge. I'm already aware about the environment. Why can't that program be done from Misisi, where people who are ignorant about the environment can learn something? And you see vehicles there, ministers going there, but tell the minister to say, we are going to Misisi. This is a Green Cosmos organization going to Misisi to interact with people, to clean the surrounding that side. They will not show up. So it's the system that we need to change. We need to focus where the energy is needed, unlike where the energy is not needed. So the organizations, we can have 60 organizations, but if they don't have funds, then it becomes difficult for them to run their initiatives. We can have the organizations, but if their organizations are not in one way or the other recognized by the ministry, by the government, it becomes difficult for them to do. Because even when you go to the council to say, we want a permit to clean this surrounding, they will say, no, but where are you coming from? You don't even have a recommendation from any government, but you've got a certificate. So they won't take you seriously. So those things are also in one way or the other leading to that factor of having a lot of organizations but work done zero. Sure.
Okay, interesting. Now, you recently, was it recent when you had a March Past?
Exactly.
That attracted quite a number of people. Just get us into details of what exactly transpired.
All right. So now, Green Cosmos is having it's actually a youth-led organization, having a lot of lecturers and professors in it. And now when we also came to study, because everything starts with every project actually starts with an idea. So once actually that idea, we need to put the idea together and say, what can we do? First and foremost, what we have come to understand is that our Zambian people are lacking knowledge of environmental protection, environmental degradation, climate change. What do we do to supplement government's effort? Government have been talking each and every time about keep Zambia clean, but the Zambia is not clean. What should we do to ensure that we have a clean Zambia? Of course, there are many ways that we can be able to see a clean Zambia. We can bring about recycling so that each and every bottle which is thrown can be recycled. But if we start recycling without sensitizing people, how do you make it clear to say to people to say this is the way we are going to say clean Zambia? It becomes difficult. So our organization says before we do all these other programs, let's start with a countrywide environmental protection and disaster reduction awareness campaign so that people may be able to understand. So we launched on the 30th June and we attracted about 700 plus people came for the March Past. So now, that work that we usually do, the March Past that we are doing, we are always carrying placards. And those placards, there's something that is written there. Each and every person who is passing should be able to see what we are doing. This time around, people they are good when we speak about protesting, maybe for food and what, politics, what and what, but they are able to protest for the environment. So we say we can come up with a campaign so that we educate the people. But before the campaign, we need to start in schools, marketplaces, as well as everywhere where we can be able to reach out to the people. So we started in schools, and every student, every pupils were like, this is a good idea. This is a good idea. We go in the marketplaces, this is a good idea. We also come to the program, to the March Past, so that we can also sensitize people. So this is why we are coming up with environmental awareness, so that we educate the people, and then later on we start the recycling program, because we had already told people what they are supposed to do. When we told them to say we need the bottles, bring bottles, they will be able to bring bottles in a peaceful way. And like chasing people to say, no, we are doing recycling, so bring the garbage that you have. Doing recycling, so bring the papers that you have. Where are you taking papers? In one way or the other, they will harass you like they did to me. Where are you taking them? So we need to make sure that they understand. So now we did it in Lusaka, and then after that March Past, we started again visiting schools, visiting markets, and also other people where they didn't need some kind of education. And then, knowing the fact that it's a countrywide campaign that we are doing, environmental campaign, we are going to the Copper Belt. And so far we have about 600 registrations, because even in Copper Belt there are people who are passing, moving each and every time to say, we need to take care of our environment. There is Keep Zambia Clean campaign, but the campaign is not really fully sensitized. Why can't we also, in one way or the other, come on board with the Green Cosmos and just run this, champion this campaign? So on the 29th, we are going to Copper Belt, and the March Past, we are intending to start at Kitwe Teaching Hospital roundabout. If you have seen that road, is Chingwara Road, is a very busy road. So we'll be moving in that road, showing to people what we are doing. From there, we'll move to IGP, we go to Tsokone, and then in Tsokone there, that's where we are going to have session of speeches. And the speeches also in one way or the other, because we've been giving speeches, but they don't work. We need to ensure that even when we are giving speeches, if at all there is a group of people that in one way or the other you feel that they may not be able to understand English, why can't you speak in a local language so that people they are able to understand? And why we are putting in Sokone Market, because that's where most of the traders, everybody who throw litter is found. So better we do everything. They are right there where everything is happening from, so that people will definitely understand. And then we are going to run at the same page.
Now, when it comes to issues to do with reducing, reusing, and recycling, do you think that people have the knowledge and are becoming aware now that there's the issue of recycling? Because I've seen a lot of people with plastic bags of bottles, and things like that.
Okay, I would say that's part of innovation in the environmental sector, where we talk of recycling, and is numbers to be educated. So the innovation part is good, but before that, we need to do a lot in terms of, removing this ignorance of environmental matters from Zambians, then installing conservation mindset and environmental consciousness in them. Then we will champion recycling, because everyone, even from home, when you just pick a bottle of Fanta disposable, if you are environmental conscious, recycling will start from home. You know how to do the 4 separate waste, plastics, bottles, cans from home. So it will be even easy for Lusaka City Council to go and collect waste which are already separated from our homes. But if our homes waste comes piled up in one, then you want to bring it down, then you want to recycle. It's hard.
All right. So, how are we doing then as a country in terms of protecting the environment, keeping cleanliness in general, especially that street traders were recently removed from the street?
Wow, is it me?
You can go first.
Well, when you speak about the trade vendor, because myself I don't call them street vendors, but I call them trade vendors.
Trade vendors.
They are trading from there. That's a crucial issue, and it's actually in one way or the other a threatened issue to even actually talk about or utter a word. But anyway, it's very important sometimes to say the truth, because the truth will set you free. What the government, what the UPND government has done under the able leadership of Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, this is what we were waiting for. Green Cosmos, when we started working in the CBD in January, we started working in the CBD. We used to find even feces, heaps of garbage, and most of the culprits who were doing that were trade vendors. However, removing the trade vendors in the streets that's just a first step of realizing a clean Zambia or seeing a litter-free Zambia. That's the first step, because you can't talk about a clean city, a clean Zambia, if you have got a lot of people who are trading in that area. Let me give you an example. When someone is sweeping in the house and then people are passing, how do you feel? Or how do you feel when you are sweeping and then people are passing? You feel bad, not so? Exactly. Someone is cleaning, people are throwing. Are you going to have a clean Zambia? Nothing. You can't. So first and foremost, you need to remove them. So that's the better way to go. And I would really like to thank the UPND government, and just also a challenge that what you have started, let it continue that way. That's the best way. And just also in one way or the other again to see, because we added huge number of people, not only here in Lusaka, but also in Livingstone. And I hear that even in Kitwe, they have also started the same way. So the goal is to remove street traders in the streets, the whole country actually, not only in Lusaka.
Yeah.
So now, you also need to understand, because Green Cosmos, we did a survey. We wrote to the Lusaka City Council. We asked them if we could do a profiling of trade vendors, and they agreed. We started going vendor by vendor, collecting their phone numbers, what they sell, where they are coming from, and we had about 5,000 people. And we also came to understand that these people, in one way or the other, 40% are not Lusaka based. They are coming from different places just to come and trade where? To come and trade in Lusaka, because that's where the business is.
Yeah.
The business is not about the shelter, it's the location of the place. So knowing the fact that here in Kitwe is not selling, you would come in Lusaka where they are making money. So we also need to understand, we had a huge number of vendors who are trading in the CBD, who are trading in the district business centers. So now we need to find a way of how these people can be helped so that they don't succumb to poverty. Because when you are selling in a view of getting a profit, and also do what? Take care of your children. So now these are the people who are not working at the moment. Of course, we may say we have places where they can trade from inside the market, but the fact of the matter is that we don't have enough infrastructures where people can trade. This is not 2020. This is 2023. People are being born each and every time. So the population is increasing. So there is a need that we need also to build infrastructures where people can trade from. We have CDF fund this time around. They're getting a lot of money. Let it not just be channeled to education. Of course, education is power, but also you need also to know how people in one way or the other are going to be benefited, are going to to put something in their stomach, so that at the end of the day they don't start stealing from people. So it's a better move, but there must be also a way of how these people are going to be helped. Now, like I said, that's the first step. What's the next step? Next step is to ensure that we make a follow-up, because people were just more like used to be selling from there. If we don't make a follow-up, they will return. You will see them back again. So we don't want it to be like what happened to the previous government. They removed the street vendors today. When we are approaching the elections again, you find the food, no vendors in the streets. Then we are getting nowhere. Let's be like in Rwanda, Kigali City, where it's it's restricted. You can't see a vendor selling in the streets. So that's the best way that we need also to do. We make a follow-up and to ensure that we put now organizations, even government authorities to continue with the cleanness. Not only the cleanness, also the shops which are in the CBD, because at the end of the day we want to say clean Lusaka, a clean city. They need to ensure that they paint their shops, that they look standard, like you are in Rome, like you are in UK, not whereby you are getting in Lusaka like you are getting, in Mrs. or in Kaputa where I'm coming from. But there must be a change, like there must be a difference from Kaputa and Lusaka, more especially Lusaka being the face of Zambia. There must be order in one or the other. Sure.
Gideon?
Okay, wow, street vending. Wow. This is just like my brother here said, this is a very cardinal issue. Somehow political, somehow, but I love talking about environmental issues because they are non-political. Environmental matters are general.
Yes.
So when you talk of street vending, first and foremost, I was pleased by the move, and we were glad as an organization because just like he said, it is the first move. But there is more to be done because yes, vendors are out, and then we are saying they were the major culprits of the waste, the plastics in town. But if you move in Freedom Way right now, you will still find plastics in town. So street vendors are out. That one we can mark, it's a plus. Now what's supposed to be done now is we need to go into a phase of adding adequate bins.
Yes.
It pains me to see people piling waste on that middle of let's say Freedom Way. And that middle, then they pour waste. Then we are in a windy season. Then the boxes, the plastics that they've put there, when the wind comes, they go 1 kilometer away. We are still we've not made an impact in that way. So right after removing street vendors, what we want now is at least every after 100 meters, let's have bins.
Yes.
Big bins for that matter. It pains me to see someone putting up a 5 liters bin in the CBD.
Cairo Road.
Then you post and say, no, we've made a donation, we are going to be. No, look at the population rate at the shops in town. There are wholesalers that receive huge chunks of goods, and those huge chunks of goods comes in big boxes, big packages. We need big bins. I don't know where those big green bins have gone because they've completely been phased out. If we can have those green bins, at least 2 every after 100 meters in each main road, in each market, because before launching the Justice for Rangers in a May as wildlife, we did a survey and a survey in a city market.
Sure.
And then the vendors and the traders, part of their suggestions and contributions were, we are willing to dump waste where it's supposed to be done. But the question is this: here is my shop, I am alone, and there is no bin anywhere. Then I finish doing all the things. I've got this litter. Where do I take it from? I simply fused into the drainage with a faith belief that when waste come, when water comes, these things will go. So we need now, from just like he said, a follow-up. Then from the follow-up, we need to make sure that we put adequate bins in markets, as well as in our roads. Big bins, not just a small bin.
Definitely. Well, thank you very much, guys, for coming through to our breakfast show. Any last words that you have, Mr. Mlang?
Myself, I run by the word or by the sentence: clean environment is essential for our health living. If you neglect your own environment, how do you expect to be healthy? So it has to start with me. Let's not wait for the government. Each and every citizen has got actually a role to play. Actually, cleaning of the environment is a moral obligation to each and every Zambian, to each and every youth out there. but of course they can do something. So let's ensure that even in schools where we are in one way or the other, teach our pupils, teach our learners about the environment, about the climate change, and how we can in one way or the other mitigate it. Church leaders, let's come on board. I was very much pleased with what the Oblates of Mary Immaculate, the Catholic movement, actually they are doing. They have also come up with what they are calling, is it the world of creation, where they're talking about how we can mitigate climate change, how we can maintain the environment to be like just clean and neat. So everybody actually should come on board and just supplement government's effort. If you neglect Zambia, Zambia is your own country. How do you want now Zambia to be in the next 5 years from now? So please, let's in one way or the other care for the environment, and let's do something which is beneficial to the community, not just myself, I, and me. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We take a short break. We'll be back on the other side.
One of Zambia's leading pioneer internet service provider, Zamnet, offers services like broadband fiber, fixed broadband wireless, data bundles, domain name registration, and hosting. Zamnet also offers bulk SMS system and web-based system. We also offer hosting solutions like web hosting, web development, and network design. For further details, email us on sales@zamnet.zm. Zamnet, nobody delivers IT better.